Hey YouTube, in this deck profile, I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my updated Kagero deck for the G Guardian debut. So I picked my favorite one, which is the Legend one, basically the Overlord build that I have, and I did update it. So the one that I posted originally, I did get a lot of criticism of that deck that I built, but this is the one that I've been playing more competitively. So you'll see a different flavor in terms of the lineup of the cards that I'm using. But I think this should clear up any sort of confusion. So in that deck, the one that I posted originally, that one was based off of trying to play the best with the cards that came from the Legend deck with some minimal changes, so that the deck still focused on Overlord as the main gimmick. But this one is more focused on the actual Flame Dragon style, so we'll see a lot more of that. They did get a pretty nice first stride sort of unit that they can use, which is a Flame Dragon in the Fighters collection. So we'll get right into it. So for the grade 3 lineup, I still am sticking with my 3 Dragonic Overlord the Legend. I'm still running the 9 grade 3s, so I did not change this. The Legend, the N, the Cross, and the N. So I am doing the 9 grade 3 build. So 3-3-3. I find that it works. I mean, the only difference here is in the past there was one extra, like without the Legend, people were running like 4 of the Cross, so there was an extra of the Cross, and then it was like 2 of the Great or 2 whatever other Overlord you were running, whether it was the Great or the Rebirth or the Break Right Overlord or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So this still gives me access to Legion because being a defensive deck, it's very similar to Link Joker where you're going to run into problems where you have to like grind out a win. With all the restanding, you can deck out, so I feel like this Legion build is pretty good. A lot of people were saying run the Great. The Great is okay in here, but I just don't like running Neo Flame because I feel like Neo Flame just doesn't really. It's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't work that well in here. It seems to be better in Perdition. And I do kind of like the Cross and the Ends play style still being in here because it's still kind of annoying. It punishes the opponents who think that Kagero is kind of like dropping off now, even though they did get the Legend. People who are starting to run the newer Perfect Guards, this deck still punishes them for doing that. And of course the Legend's GB2 skill also does that, so I do like that. For grade 2s, new and improved from last time, so I am running 4 Berserk Lord Dragons still because you're going to start a lot with this deck and it's still pretty good. And you recycle your Overlord cards from the drop zone, so it's still relatively good. 3 Emperor Dragon Knight Nehalem. Last time I wasn't running him, but then I realized he's not a Flame Dragon, so he's not searchable. But he's still one of the really good cards that can get power, and he's an example. This is an example of a card that defines power creep in this current meta, although he is kind of balanced out because he's GB1 restricted, but now with G Guardians it's sort of like whatever. So still pretty good in here. And then I am running 3 Burning Horn Dragon. Burning Horn Dragon, if you're not going to run this, you can run Burnout, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Some other stuff, like the new Stride unit, does Soul Blast though, so you need to keep that in mind. Burning Horn also works really well with Dragon Partner Monica, which I'm still running. A lot of people are saying not to run that. But Burning Horn and Monica as a rear guard column is still like an easy 22k column. He's not GB restricted, and neither is she. Next we've got one. Actually, she is GB restricted. Take that back. But anyway, he's not GB restricted. So that would form easy 19 early and then 22 later. Armor of Flame Dragon Bar at 1 copy, because it's being a defensive deck, tech copies of defensive cards can be pretty good. He's still kind of a clutch card that can help you out. But if you weren't going to run these 4 cards, like the Burnouts and this, then you probably, if you weren't going to run the Burning Horn and this, you probably run 4 Burnouts. Or maybe like 3 Burnouts and 4 Nehalem. Nehalem's pretty strong. Burnout just makes it have like 6 beaters, essentially. For grade 1s, I'm running 4 Protect Orb Dragons, so I traded these Took these from my Blade Master deck and gave Blade Master the Armos. Blade Master will be in that Blaze thing, whatever, later anyway. So, for Protector, because it's Flame Dragon, and because the deck is still Counterblast heavy, I mean, using the end and all that kind of stuff, if you're still using the end, if you ended up riding the end, Protect Orb is probably the most optimal choice of Perfect Guards or Sentinels. Then for Lizard General Conroe, he's really good, easy unflip. So these 8 cards together is kind of like unflip engine. Then 3, Spear of the Flame Dragon Tar. Tar helps you check top 5 and search for grade 3 when you give the effect of him to something. So I'm not running Calamity Tower Wyvern in here because this Soul Blast and someone else Soul Blasted. Oh, this Stride unit Soul Blast. So yeah, still I feel like Tar is better than Calamity Tower because he, I mean, the deck doesn't loop as much with the cross anymore. Since the Legend is kind of like the main one you want to ride. The Legion is sort of in there to help, like prevent deck out and all that kind of stuff, and then do shenanigans early if you're sitting on the cross. But yeah, Tar is still a pretty good booster. That's the main reason why I'm running him. And then the 2, Dragon Partner Monica, like I said, with Burning Horn Dragon, this is really good. Or you can just put this behind the Vanguard, use it as the Vanguard booster. Works well with the Ace and all that kind of stuff. So, it's a pretty straightforward lineup. And then the trigger lineup for the Gatling Claw, it's Flame Dragon. So, you just play it. Then we've got 4 more Flame Dragon, Magnum Shot Draco Kid. Took this from Blade Master's deck. 4 Blu-ray Draco Kid, one of Kai's classic Flame Dragon critical triggers. And then 4 Mother Orb Dragon. As much as I hate to run these, G Guardians are a thing now, and the deck does have the ability to search grade or Flame Dragons. So, helps the deck be more consistent. So, literally every single trigger in the deck is a Flame Dragon. And Lizard Hero Undus, he's just really good. In Overlord, yeah. So, I mean, you can run whatever starter you want. I still like this, and because I'm running this, I don't really feel like I need the Stride Enabler. So he can be used with him the same way Kai used it in the show. He can be used to fetch the cross if you need to prevent deck out or whatever. He can search, like if you're legioning, the cross can search the end, and then he can search the cross. So he works really well with this, which is another reason why I stuck with this over running the Great. Plus I didn't want to take the Great out of my Perdition deck. So that's the main deck for the Strides. I am running one of the new Flame Emperor Dragon King, Irresist Dragon. He has to hit, but what I like about him is he doesn't have to pay his costs until he hits. And this deck is not, well, I mean, it is sort of GB restricted, but when you're running the Cross as your main Vanguard and you're in Legion, I mean, you know, you don't need to flip up something. So I would say this, like, this is a really good first stride if you're sitting on the Cross, or even the end, because sometimes that happens. Whereas this Vortex Desire is good as the first stride for the Legend to enable an easy GB2. So both of these are pretty good. This guy, he can retire. Choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or lesser. Yeah, so he basically retires something, and then he can punish them for not guarding. He can just retire an opponent's rear guard. And he can basically retire all the rear guards in a row. And a row means, like, if you choose the back row, like the Vanguard booster, and they have like another rear guard in the back, both of them die. If they have a full back row, the whole back row dies. So they just went -3 right there. That's pretty good. Pretty good pressure card. I like them both at 1. 1 is enough. Another good one of is Divine Dragon Knight Zom. He works really well with Berserk Dragon. So I still feel like he's a pretty decent card at 1. Then 2, Mustafa, because he is a pretty good, consistent first stride if you know the opponent is just going to perfect guard either of these. If you saw them drive, check a perfect guard or whatever, so then you can just use Mustafa. And then 2, Root Flare, because the Root Flare play is still pretty good, kind of like Big Crunch. And then 2, the Ace, so down from 4. Originally I was running 4, but to make room for the G Guardians, I dropped him to 2, because I found myself only really using the Ace play once per game, because later in the game, it is more beneficial to go into this Nouvelle Vague L'Express. He's kind of their Diablo equivalent, and he's really, really scary when the opponent's at 5 damage, for the opponent that is. So 4 of him, and then I am running 2 of the Kagero G Guardian. People say this is not that good. I found it to work pretty good. The only decks that it has trouble getting the extra 5k is if I'm up against Royals, sometimes Gold Paladins, and that's really about it. Like, up against Pale Moon, Neo Nectar sometimes fears, like, going all in on the field against this deck. So, yeah. Up against Pale Moon, Grand Blue, stuff where the stuff dies. Spike Brothers have a lot of open R circles anyway. So this is usually pretty decent. So 2 of this is fine. And then I'm running as this last card, I'm running the 1 Dismal. Just good in the mirror match, good in up against like Dimension Police, all kinds of stuff. So I like this card. 1 of it is good. A lot of people are saying like run 2. I don't have enough room to run the second one. The only card I can see myself dropping is potentially the Mustafas or maybe the Zom. But I like that he's not an on-hit and he can just like retire something for an extra counterblast. So him with like 2 Berserk Dragons for 3 counterblasts can like wipe 3 cards in the opponent's field. That's really good. So that's why I don't know. But anyway, guys, that's my updated Kagero deck. Built for emphasis on Flame Dragon this time around. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that deck profile. And let me know in the comments what you think for Kagero in the current meta when it comes to the G Guardian era and all this type of stuff. And I'm looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.